Hello and welcome! One of my favorite parts of spring is that I can finally get back outside to read for longer periods of time. Whether it's just sitting out on my back porch, or spending an afternoon in a local botanical gardens, or simply finding a sunny park bench to read a good book, being able to be outside is one of my favorite aspects to my reading life. I know that sometimes reading outside sounds romantic in theory, but it can be hard to know where to begin. Maybe you're not sure what you should bring with you, or how to make it feel relaxing instead of like extra effort, or how to help decrease any sort of distractions that might be happening outside. So I am hoping that this video gives you a little bit of inspiration and shows you just how simple it can be to create an outdoor reading experience that works for you. I think having a dedicated spring reading basket packed and ready for the season just helps it to be a little bit more accessible and intentional. For me, a good reading basket isn't just about the books. It's about having just little essentials that make outdoor reading comfortable. The first thing I'm packing is this small crochet blanket. I like that it can double as a shawl, which makes it really practical for those unpredictable spring temperatures. Next, I'm adding a tote bag, which honestly becomes a catch-all for the book things. I like having one dedicated bag for just my reading materials because it means I can keep a few essentials tucked inside. I'm also bringing along a book sleeve to protect the books that I'm currently reading. If I'm carrying books around in a basket or a tote, I always feel better knowing that they're protected, especially those vintage dust jackets. Of course, no reading basket is complete without a couple of books, and I always like to bring options because my reading mood can vary throughout the day. Sometimes I want comforting and slow, but other times I want a book that completely pulls me in. So having two choices or more means I'm more likely to be able to stay outside longer because I can just switch. I'm also packing some pens and markers for annotating. There's something about reading outdoors that just makes me want to be present with the book, and annotating helps me do that. It turns reading into a little experience. I'm also bringing a drink, something kind of refreshing. This is a little seasonal treat, especially if I'm going to be spending an afternoon outdoors. And of course, I'm going to add a small treat because this can be kind of like a picnic lunch or, again, something to make this moment feel extra special. Sunblock is definitely going into the basket too. I feel like when you're reading outside, you might be thinking, oh, I'm just going to sit down for 20 minutes and suddenly an hour has passed. I'm also tossing my earbuds in because I also like to have the option of listening to the audiobook. That is one tip that I have for kind of maybe trying to cut out some of the distractions that can be outside. Lastly, I'm including my hat. It's practical not only for sun protection, but also because if it's bright out, I wear glasses, and so this just provides a little bit extra shade. So now that everything's packed, we're ready to head outside and enjoy a little spring reading time together. So it's a little early yet. I'm not quite ready for a picnic. And so one of the places that I like to come to is just a park bench in a park. So you can't see this, but all around me, there's green space, but there are also playgrounds and kids making noises. There's a hiking trail. So this is full of people, but there is this little secluded bench that I like to come to read. Since it's shady, I'm going to leave my hat in here for later. Same thing with the blanket. Because I am just sitting here on the bench to read before actually laying it out to have a picnic, it's fine there. So I think what I'm going to do is just start with reading Spring Harvest by Gladys Tabor. So Gladys Tabor is, I think, most well known for her sort of chronicles, a seasonal sort of journal diary where she writes throughout the year. Some of her books start in January, some of them actually do start in the spring, but this is a fictional book that she wrote, and I was really happy to find it in a lot of her books that I had purchased, and I just think the cover is so beautifully well appointed for spring. So I'm just going to sit here again there are people walking their dogs, but I also have birds chirping and a lot of green space, and so just having a moment right now to read is what I'm looking for. I wish you could be here with me sitting on this bench reading, but since you can't, I'm going to just read a little bit of how Spring Harvest by Gladys Tabor starts. The white clover blossomed early that spring of 1914 and was breast high along the banks. May sun shone on the wide river, and the Wisconsin hills broke green against the sky. Across the water, a herd of black and white Holsteins drifted towards home and milking time. There was no sound except the thunder of the dam 3 miles upstream. All right, I've gotten through about 20 pages, so I think since I do want to kind of highlight different ways that you can just very simply and easily pack your own spring reading basket and find places to read, I think we're going to move on and I'm going to show you another place that I really enjoy reading at. All right, while I was walking earlier, I found a couple blooms and I want to put them inside of this book that I have not gotten to. I had high hopes to get to it, but this was the book that I was intending to annotate, not my Vintage Spring Harvest book, but rather this Death of an Author by E.C.R. Lorac. And I may not get to reading it today or annotating it, but I thought I could put these little blooms that I've found. I did not pick them, I just found them on the ground, that I could just go ahead and put them in the book and flatten them. And then when I do get to annotating it, it'll be like a little gift or surprise each page of me looking to check and see if blooms are pressed on that particular page. I'm still not completely settled on where I want to have a picnic, but I really am on the lookout for a creek or some water, so we're going to just keep going. So for my actual picnic, I'm so excited. I have found just a beautiful creek scene. So I'll show you my view and what I'm aimed at. It's just very lovely. So I have my little snack that I'm going to eat. I brought a drink. This is strawberry vanilla Olipop, and my book. So I am going to just sit here, read, enjoy my snack. The sun, oh, I love the warmth of the spring sun. So there's like a breeze, so it's kind of cool, but having the sun coming down on me is just so nice. So I'll probably get my hat out in a little bit for here, but just for a minute, I'm just going to enjoy the sun. So I have gotten to chapter 3 in Spring Harvest. I've really enjoyed spending this time with you out here in just the beautiful weather with the birds chirping and the breeze and the sun. So I hope that this has encouraged you even just a little bit to build your own spring reading basket and to get outside. Whether that is just sitting out on your front porch for a little bit, whether that's getting out of your apartment building and finding a park bench that's just around the corner, or whether you're able to maybe drive somewhere and go for a little hike and get off the beaten path, whatever it means to just spend a little bit of time outside this spring, I think is just very impactful to your reading experience. I think the next time you see the book that you've read outside, you're just brought back to that, and you can remember the tactile parts of that reading experience. So you can remember what the weather was like and what you were feeling, and just really connecting your outside reading experience with your book. So if you love reading outside, I'd love to hear that. If maybe you haven't done it before, but you're open to the idea, let me know that. Also, let me know if maybe you're uncomfortable with that or just not used to it. I would love to have discourse in the comments below about reading outside and even the idea of creating your own spring reading basket. So, as always, thanks so much for watching, and until next time. This whole time that I've been recording, I have been hearing these geese. And I realized that where I was sitting is actually a path for Amish children to walk to and from school. And so the children walked by the geese. They probably have a nest and they're very upset. But the children actually cross this creek. Even in winter and fall, they have this path that they walk across and they go to and from school that way. So magical. But these geese have been upset because the children walked by, and so they've been letting everyone know that they're not happy.